welcome back. Today we're going to be talking all about twiddling. So whether your little one is that little bit older and they've only just realised that you have another breast, maybe they have done it instinctively and gone ahead to knead, pull, twist, tweak your nipple, press it like on and off like an on and off switch. We all know what that feels like, and possibly you know exactly how that sensation is for you and feels for you if you've hit this button to watch this video. So today, from a lactation consultancy perspective, but also from the perspective of a mum who has two boys who love to twiddle, I'm going to tell you how we have moved away from a baby who loves to twiddle for every nursing session to some softer, more gentle for mum, but also really gentle transitional alternatives for little ones. So today I'm going to give you my top tips, but if this is the first time that you come to any of my videos, my name is Kitty. I love to talk about everything from pregnancy to birth to postpartum, breastfeeding and that motherhood transition. I'm a registered general nurse, a lactation consultant, hypnobirthing instructor, antenatal educator, birth and postpartum doula, as well as mama by called mama by three little people. And I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. I'll make sure and share in the description box all of the links for different products and things that I talk about that you might find helpful. Let's dive straight into my top tips for moving away from your little nurser twiddling the other breast. So, typical of all of the other content that I share on here, I like to let you know from a biological standpoint why exactly our little ones go ahead and do this. And you might like to know that, in fact, you've got a really clever baby. So our babies nurse on one side and will either twiddle, knead, maybe punch, massage or compress, maybe twiddle with the nipples on the alternative side to help stimulate a letdown. A letdown is the milk spray or that milk ejection reflex that comes, and you should have between 2 and 4 milk sprays per breast per feed, typically. That being said, things like massaging the breast, compressing the breast down can help trigger further letdown. So in fact, what your baby is doing is saying, I want more milk, I'm going to help that happen. So you've got a really clever baby on your hands. That is all well and good for your baby. However, for mum, it can be really overwhelming, and it can be really sore, particularly if your little one's got sort of scratchy nails. So I want to start with the first thing that I love to do to help encourage you to move away from that is to offer your baby the other breast. Sometimes it's just as easy as that. Your baby goes ahead to twiddle on the other side, and that's to stimulate another letdown. And if you pop them directly onto that alternative breast, what happens is they get that nice first letdown, which is generally faster, comes a little bit easier for them, and it's almost like them getting a little top up at the breast. So the first tip number 1, if your baby is twiddling, particularly if they're smaller, is just to swap them to the alternative breast. My tip number 2 is less of a tip and more of me okaying you to set some clear boundaries. Nursing boundaries are so okay. There are 2 of you in this nursing dyad, maybe more if you're tandem feeding, and it's really important that you feel good when it comes to nursing your baby. If you are dreading nursing time, if you are not looking forward to it, if it is a toe curling, gross sensation for you, it is absolutely okay for you to lay down really clear boundaries. And they can start with something as simple as, Mama's not going to let you do that. You can't twiddle the other breast. If you want to do something else, here are some alternatives. Or, that hurts, Mummy. I'm going to hold your hand instead. Or, I'm not going to nurse you. If you're being squirmy, you have to sit still if it's time to nurse. Whatever it might be. It might be setting boundaries with that you use a little bit of baby sign with, that you're saying, milk, you've got to stay still. It might be a case of, repetition and just saying that over and over again. And when your baby does go to do that sort of unwanted behavior, that you then take a pause on that nursing session, go and do something else, and then come back. And the biggest thing that I like to remind families, particularly when it comes up to weaning and in my weaning from breastfeeding courses, is that oftentimes there are big emotions associated with the connection and that regulation that happens when we nurse our babies. And when our babies are looking for that and we are then telling them no or not right now and setting those boundaries in place, there are big emotions that generally come out. And our job as parents is not to take those emotions away. In fact, it's just to sit with them, to okay those big emotions and to let them know that we are going to be there for them no matter how they feel, to normalize the big emotions, to say them back to them, to say them out loud, to name them. So I see you're really frustrated right now. I see you're really disappointed right now because you really wanted milkies in this moment. And not even necessarily going to try and hold them or hug them, but just remaining present until they down-regulate themselves and come back to you. So next, that step is, or that option, the tip is about the okay to set clear boundaries for you and your baby. My next 3 tips are about products that I have found really helpful over these different times. And of course, as somebody who works in the world of lactation, I wanted to try them all. So the first is something that's quite cheap and cheerful and you might already have in your home. And that is a soother, a dummy, or a pacifier. I'm actually filming it in my parents' house, so I don't have a dummy here to show you. I don't have my kit with me. But what you can do is you can either tie it on with a little piece of string, or you can have it clipped into maybe the buttonhole in your top or in your dress, and your little one, if you're nursing on this side, can then just twiddle with the dummy, maybe with the teat, do all the things that they would normally do if they are twiddling on the alternative breast. So try and find an old dummy that maybe you haven't been using. My next tip is to get what they can be called as teething necklaces, but I use them as twiddling necklaces. So they generally have large, soft beads that your little one can munch on, can chew on, but they can also twiddle. So they can twirl the beads in the same way that somebody would like meditation beads or prayer beads. They can play with them, they can twirl them, they can pull on them. They're quite robust, and I have found those to be really, really helpful. The key is to getting ones that are in your style, because generally they're quite chunky, and if you're not into chunky jewelry, that might be a not so nice alternative for you. But you might find that having the beads in your pocket ready to go could be a nice alternative. I'll make sure and link my favorite ones that I found recently down below. And the last tip that I have, if you've got a baby who is a twiddler, is to get a twiddle tip. Again, I have nothing with me today, but I have purchased mine from the Breast Milk Queen, and she has been raving and talking about this twiddle tip for a long time. You can buy it over on her website. Again, I'll make sure I have the link down below, but the twiddle tip is essentially a little disc with a hole in it on one side and a little raised nipple type shape on the other side, so it makes for the perfect opportunity for your little one to have something that they can twiddle with while they are nursing. So that is all of my tips and tricks. Pop your baby on the other side, get that milk flowing, particularly if you've got a smaller baby. This works really nicely. Go ahead and lay down those boundaries and set those nursing manners in place if that feels appropriate for you. Try using an old soother, a dummy, pacifier, whatever you call them, clipped onto the alternative side so your baby can play and fiddle and twiddle away. Try some teething necklaces, bracelets, or maybe a string of wooden beads if you have them handy. Of course, always being mindful of the choking risk there and making sure that they are very robust. And then the last one would be to check out the Twiddle tip, which is quite possibly one of my favorites because it's something that is small, that is concise, that you can pop into your pocket and have with you. I actually got 2 because I wanted to make sure that I could use them for classes as well as have them with me. And let me know if any of these have been helpful for you. If you've got a twiddling nurser, I'm so there with you, and I hope that you can find some of these tips helpful. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.